Thank you all for enjoying the dimmed lights, to calm us down for a good evening.
Thank you all for coming. We'll go ahead and start the meeting since it's 6 o'clock. We did pay the light bill. All's well. We just consider it a little bit of mood lighting for tonight. So thank you all for being here. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, and we'll continue with the roll call. Ms. Palacio.
Governing Board President Sherry Lowe.
Present.
Governing Board Clerk Denise Reese.
Here.
Governing Board Member Tony Bruno.
Here.
Governing Board Member Raul Rodriguez.
Present.
Governing Board Member Dr. John Sparks.
Present.
District Administration Superintendent Dr. Manuel Valenzuela.
Present.
Assistant Superintendent Scott Downs. Assistant Superintendent Brett Bonner.
Here.
Assistant Superintendent Darlene Robinson.
Present.
Chief Financial Officer Lisette Huey.
Here.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Lowell, members of the board. At this time, I do recommend approval of the agenda as it was revised this evening.
Thank you very much. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. President Lowell, members of the board, you have in your packet draft copies of the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting of the board back on August 26, 2024. And after your review and consideration, I do recommend approval at this time.
Thank you very much. We have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the ratification of vouchers. Ms. Huey.
Good evening. Tonight I recommend payroll voucher number 5 for $2,006,855.79. New payroll 11 through 13, totaling $9 million, for a total payroll of $11,006,855.79. Expense vouchers 1016 through 1019 for a grand total of expense vouchers of $1,918,754.94 for a grand total of payroll and expense vouchers of $12,925,610.73.
Thank you very much. We have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And then we'll move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Lowell, members of the board. First of all, I would like to, all kidding aside, I would like to apologize for the fact that we're a little bit more in the dark this evening. There are some ballasts or things of that sort. They're in the process of being repaired, and I assure you we will get them taken care of just expediently as possible. Fortunately, I guess we count our blessings. We do have some light enough to carry on this meeting. So we look on the positive side and go forward with a few notes to report this evening. We always begin with the enrollment report. I always like to see the green. And we are up by one student now that the proverbial dust has settled after the shifts that usually accompany the beginning of the year. You can see kind of that trend, and again, true to form with regards to forecast and predictions and budget. So we're holding steady in that regard. I would like to remind the board, just because otherwise I might forget, tomorrow late board lunch, if you're available, at 12:30 at it's the Sahuarita Middle School lunch. So any that are available, we can meet at the district office if you like, and then we can walk over there together. This morning, several of us had the opportunity to attend what I believe is a wonderful, beautiful tradition in our community, and that's the Anza Trail School Patriots Day Assembly. And just what a convening of community and veterans, first responders, emergency personnel, and just a chance to come together and, yes, remember the tragic events of September 11th. I know it's one of those where we all know where we were those of us that were alive, that is, back then. I see a lot of young people here. But also to celebrate what it means to be an American and a good citizen and to demonstrate character and to be part of a community. And that really is and was a beautiful community event there. So I was proud and honored to participate in that. The only other thing that I wanted to share is, again, something that I'm really proud of, and it speaks to that spirit of community that we like to say defines the very fiber of our culture and our DNA around here, and that's the belief that we can do more if we work together, if we find common ground. And yesterday, several members of our board actually were able to attend the signing of an exciting new partnership with the University of Arizona and also the Chandler School District in the Phoenix area to develop a state-of-the-art semiconductor manufacturing career and technical education program. If you know anything about semiconductors, they're like everything that we have, our cars, our phones, and they're vital not only to the economic development, but also to the security and the future of our country. And the other thing we know is that there's projected not to be enough workers in this very important high-skill, high-tech field. So we're going to try and do something about that. We're going to develop a new program and launch it and hopefully contribute to wonderful opportunities for our students and the good of our community and our country. So very excited about that. More to come. And with that, I'll close my report. Thank you very much, President Lowe.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move on to the governing board reports, starting with Dr. Sparks.
Thank you very much. I think, as Dr. Valenzuela was talking about the new semiconductor program in JTED, it reminds me that in my time on the board, this district started the JTED Career and Technical Education Day, which is now run countywide and is a huge event. Started here. The heavy equipment operator program started here. HVAC program started here. And now semiconductors. And we know Phoenix will soon be the new semiconductor hub of the United States. And I think Josh Fields and his group should be commended for that constant effort to not only expand and adapt and develop programs we have, but also find new programs over the years as things become more pertinent and needed. And I just think, I hope, I hope Josh knows we all, recognize his effort. And, that's kind of a cool history here in Sahuarita. So I was just thinking about that when I saw the notice for yesterday, and and I think I have to make comment. I think I know exactly where I was, 23 years ago, and 23, right? It's 2000, right? So seared in the memory of the day. So grateful that we can remember that. I've been to the Anza Trail event many times in the past, and so is a good event. So just grateful for that. And that's all I have today. And thank you all for being here and enjoying the dim light.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice looking out and seeing an audience. It's been pretty lonely here the last couple of months. So thank you so much for coming. Welcome back. I did attend Patriot Day today. It was awesome. The kids absolutely loved it. Takes a lot to put that together, so I just want to thank all the teachers and staff that got together to put that together for us. I just thought they had a great guest speaker. It was Lieutenant Colonel Perkins, the pilot for the Air Force, and she really understood the assignment because her speech was really engaging. The kids absolutely loved it, and it was very thoughtful. It's a lot of fun, very engaging, and it ended on a positive note. For that, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bruno.
Here we go. There we go. Yep. I've seniors who are going to be working with RN nurses on an internship through our DATED programs, and we've had 5 amazing young women come through, and it's always an one thing to sit here and to look at you and go do all of this stuff, but it's a whole other thing to see our youth come through and doing a really acceptable and really wanting to move forward with their life, and the opportunity that JTIP provides for dual enrollment with school, and the fact that our community can actually place some of our youth within various fields. And so having some public health students come in and spend 5 months with our RNs as they travel through the community to work with our seniors and our families was kind of an amazing experience. And I greatly appreciate that opportunity to see the end result.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bruno. Ms. Reese.
So I also attended Patriot Day. Definitely remember where I was on that day. I loved the speech and I loved the way that she involved the students. So she was able to really bring it home for our kids at Onza Trails. So that was really amazing. I also just want to put a shout out to both high schools. They had their ribbon cuttings a couple of weeks ago. It was after our last board meeting, but they, again, as any of these big major community events that are taking place on our school campuses, it takes a lot of work. And so just extremely grateful for all the manpower that goes into those kinds of things. And then first football games have gone off and had some success there on the gridiron. So congratulations and good luck to our various and sundry sports teams as they keep going through, and bands and everybody else. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I was very grateful. We were all able to attend a law conference last week, which keeps the school board informed to keep everybody in our schools, giving the governing board an ability to govern, which is really important, and I'm grateful for that. I'd also like to give a shout out to all the principals and social media staff that keep events going on. It's a busy time of year, and social media is the place to kind of, for parents and grandparents and school board members to keep track of what's going on where. And I would like to give a shout out to Josh Fields. You know, he's a person in our district that connects the dots for our students for future opportunities. And he's not often seen, but especially after this last week and signing that, he's an incredible asset to the district and to our children and to our students in the community. And I just a shout out to him on how much he's appreciated. And of course, today can't go without 9/11 being recognized. And as a 34-year employee of American Airlines, it was a tough day. And so I'm grateful to be here tonight. Anyway, we'll move on to recognition of staff, students, and community. Dr. Valenzuela.
Very much. Oh, it's back. Let there be light in more ways than one. One of my favorite parts, recognition. I would like to make a point of notation for the board and public. Unless Scott corrects me, Mr. Downs over there, I believe that our support staff team member was recognized last month, and we'll have another one next month, but there isn't one tonight. So I'm going to dive right into one of our favorite events, the Leader in Character honorees. You know, I think now more than ever in this chapter of our country's history, we are aware and appreciative of the fact that character and citizenship are an important part of the educational process, just like reading, writing, and math, and young people that demonstrate and model the attributes of honesty and care and compassion and promptness and responsibility and kindness, that these are integral. These are the core of what makes us who we are. And we have some young people here in our community that shine very, very brightly in regards to this part of the education that we strive to facilitate to our students. So this board, I'm grateful for, now 18 years, has taken time every month during a school board meeting to identify young people who have been selected by their school communities, their respective schools, 1 or 2 per school only, because they shine so brightly in their example of citizenship and character that they're worthy of this special recognition. And we want to recognize and encourage that, because those attributes will continue to help these students grow and to shine and to truly be the best that they can be, not only for themselves, but in service to their families and their communities and to their country. So parents, grandparents, friends, family, siblings, all of you that are here, thank you, because we know that first and foremost, you are your children's first and most significant teacher. And your example, your values, your culture, and your direction and guidance are the reason that they're here. So thank you for that. We'd like to also say thank you to Kim here representing the Green Valley News, the Sahuarita Sun, and also Freeport McMoran. They've been our partner in this recognition program since day one, I think back in 2007. I'm a teacher, and so I can boom it out, and if I need to, I'll replace this. It is getting a little bit warm, so I'll just take it off for now. Okay. Thank you, Emma. So we're gonna, the way we do this is we're gonna ask each student when his or her name is called to come down. Dr. Sparks will present your award, which is a letter and also a gift card. I think it's to Barnes & Noble, so you can hopefully buy lots of good books. And a nice framed certificate that just acknowledges this recognition. And we know that, and we hope that you'll share in the tremendous pride that comes in celebrating these students. When you come, you walk through here, you may have some folks here that want to shake your hands, and then you make your way over to Mr. Bonner over there, and he'll line you up on the steps. We'll take a picture, and the Green Valley News will make sure that they put all of you in their newspaper so that the whole community can know how amazing you are. So with that, let's go ahead and begin with our leader in character from Sopri Elementary School. And this student is a 5th grader. Congratulations, Philip Bejarano. Philip. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. Our next school is Onza Trail. Our 2 K-8s, we do 2 awards, one for the elementary grades, one for the middle school grades. So our elementary leader in character for Onza Trail School is also a 5th grader. Congratulations, Kinsley Freeland. Come on down. And it's also my honor right now to recognize the middle school leader in character from Onza Trail School. This student is an 8th grader. Congratulations, Kayla Osorio. Kayla. It's now my honor to recognize the leader in character from Sahuarita Primary School, home of the Owls. And this month, our honoree is a 2nd grader. Congratulations, Julian Orta. Congratulations, Julian. And now we will move next door to Sahuarita Intermediate School, where it is my honor and pleasure to recognize their leader in character, 4th grader Maya Figueroa. We now go across the street to Copperview Elementary School, and the recognition of their leader in character, who is fifth grader Nicola Bailey. We're back to a K-8 school, our other K-8 school, Wrightston Ridge K-8 school, where we have two students to recognize. The first one is the elementary leader in character, and her name is Amelia Reynolds. Amelia. Congratulations, Amelia. And now our middle school honoree from Wrightson Ridge School. Congratulations, Jillian Wenger. We are so proud of these amazing students, and I know you are too. Good job. We now recognize the leader in character from Sahuarita Middle School, who is also a seventh grader. Congratulations, Adam Olson. And we now move on to our high schools. Starting with Sahuarita High School, where it is my honor to recognize leader in character, who is Camila Villalobos, who's a senior. Congratulations, Camilla. Have a great senior year. Keep up the good work. And coincidentally, the leader in character from Walden Grove High School is also a senior. Congratulations, Jack Grimm. And finally this evening, it's my pleasure to recognize the leader in character from our newest school, Sahuarita Digital Pathways Academy. This student is a freshman. Congratulations, Miguel Burgueño. Miguel. I don't see Miguel. We'll make sure that he receives his due recognition. And at this point, we're going to take the picture for the newspaper, and parents, grandparents, if you want to stand up, come on down real quick and take your own shot. Come on down. We'll take kind of a little breather for a minute or so. Same thing. Thank you. Thank you. Right on, Lizette. Again, congratulations to all of these amazing students. Have a wonderful school year. And again, thank you, parents, grandparents, nana, tata, aunts, and uncles. Continue to invest in your children. It's the best investment you'll ever make. And after the picture, totally understand if this is a convenient time. If you need to leave, I know there's homework and other activities. You're welcome to stay if you'd like, but it's totally appropriate to leave if you need to leave. One more round of applause. I love that part of our meetings. Yes, Lizette's taking care of me. She got the batteries replaced. It's the first time that's happened to me. Was it? I had to stuff it in my pocket. Yeah. God, all these years. Oh. And that's okay if you know. Thank you. Good night. We're good. Well, I saw your anxiety level go up a little. Amazing Grace. I would have loved to have seen Brett sing Amazing Grace.
All right, I think we'll go ahead and continue.
Yes, ma'am.
Call the public. Do we have any call to public, Ms. Blasio? Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 8. We have no item number 7.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 8, National School Lunch Program. Number A, Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Lowe, members of the board. This is an item that provides us with a unique opportunity, and I'll summarize it, and Lizette can give you the more specific feedback and details. In a nutshell, this allows us to provide snacks to students in our after-school program. You know, the thing is that we really are what I call the 24/7 schoolhouse. You know, we don't really close, and many of our students stay here for amazing after-school extracurricular and enrichment programs. And we have the ability to provide them with snacks. That's about as simple as I can put it. Lizette, how would you summarize the unique components of this program and what we're requesting approval for this evening?
No, I mean, I think you summarized it very well, Dr. Valenzuela. I think the only thing that I would add is that this is tied to our National School Lunch Program. So anytime a student does do the application with their parents or families, this is part of it. So it's not a separate application by no means. So it just allows us to be able to provide after-school snacks for eligible after-school programs. And 21st Century is an eligible after-school program that is allowed to do that. Additionally, I would add that in our 21st Century grant, there is, so all of our students that participate in our after-school activities will still receive a free snack. It just depends on who is paying for it. So if we go through the NSLP, National School Lunch Program, that comes from the federal government, then they go through that process. If not, 21st Century through their grant application will allow us to also pay the difference. So that's nice change from years past. So just to rest assured that our students who do participate in those programs do receive a free snack.
So the bottom line is everybody who's coming to our after-school programs will receive a nice, nutritious, delicious, healthy snack.
That is correct.
And with that, I'd recommend approval of the NSLP after-school snack prices and program as presented.
Thank you very much. We have recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? I think it's wonderful. We have kids that are on campus for a very long time. And I just really want to encourage parents because we have the applications online.
Online, yes, absolutely.
And,
they're easy to do.
Yeah, so they're really easy to do. You can do it from your own home. And if you even think or you don't think you have the eligibility, please submit that application, because if your kids can get extra nutrition at a reasonable or no cost, it's a great thing. So I'm really glad we're doing it. Thank you very much. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll continue to number 9, new business. Item number 8, Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, and this first item is one that may be familiar to some of you. This is the legendary Teacher Day resolution, and it's really such a simple but such a true and powerful resolution and program. Again, this is an initiative led by our friend Dr. Nick Clement, who's a longtime educator, a retired superintendent, and currently he holds an endowed professorship at Northern Arizona University in the Ernest W. McFarland Chair in Education. And this is his initiative, and really it's based on a couple of premises. One is a powerful impact of a great teacher. And we've all had those teachers. We've had many teachers, all of us have, but there are some that stand out in a unique and extraordinary way. And number 2 is that it's a worthy effort to formally take time out, to reach out, identify those people, and to say thank you and to recognize them. And so I will quickly read the points of the resolution. I think they're worth repeating. Whereas the Governing Board of Sahuarita Unified School District believes we've all had special teachers that made a significant difference in our lives. And whereas the Sahuarita Unified School District Governing Board recognizes that those teachers demonstrated unique skills, allowing them to transform their deep content knowledge into life-changing student learning. And whereas the Sahuarita Unified School District Governing Board highly values the caring family culture created by those teachers, and whereas the Sahuarita Unified School District Governing Board understands that we often do not fully understand and recognize the profound influence teachers have on our future until we have lived our future. And whereas the Sahuarita Unified School District Governing Board realizes the importance of taking time to fully recognize the legendary teachers in our lives, therefore, be it resolved that the Sahuarita Unified School District Governing Board does hereby affirm its support for September 26, 2024 as Legendary Teacher Day. We encourage our entire community to take time on this day and contact the legendary teacher in your life and express your gratitude for the difference they made in your life. And with that, I would recommend the board's approval of this resolution as presented.
Thank you very much. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Glad we always do this.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item number B, Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. President Lowe, members of the board. This is the SFOB, or School Facilities Oversight Board, capital report. It is a statutorily required item that the board must approve. And that is an update about the growth, the enrollment, and the development in and around our school community. So every year, I ask my colleague, Assistant Superintendent Downs, to prepare this report, update it, and to share it with you. And I think he has some interesting insights. Mr. Downs, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Valenzuela. I've been doing this report for over a decade, and I always call this the accordion report, because as our population increases each year and our ratios change, it brings a possible school building nearer to us, and sometimes when our growth slows, it pushes it out, and that's exactly what's happening today. Really, the report is fairly basic, even though there's a lot of numbers. I always thought it's easier to describe it first instead of showing you this is how we do it and then showing it. It's easier to look at numbers. The screen in front of you right now articulates the last 10 years' growth. In the top is the high school 9th through 12th grade, and on the bottom is kindergarten through 8th. And our philosophy has been for about 20 years, and we've been doing it. And again, whatever we do, they always do their own. And as we've learned in history, they always tell us when they're going to give us the building anyway. But we do appreciate their support. That we take the last 5 years growth, the last 5 year retention ratio and growth, and use that to predict the future. And we've done that from FY19 to 25. And the reason I used the last 7 years again was during COVID for FY21 and 22, and that's why that it's in yellow. I've excluded those 2 years because we actually lost we lost growth because of COVID, and I thought that was not indicative of our district. So the green numbers for FY 19, 20, 23, 24, and 25 for high school shows 2.3% growth. And we know that the elementary has been kind of decreasing a little bit. I think kids are just getting older, maybe our demographics of our community. But when we took that 5-year growth, it actually showed a negative 0.6% growth. And that is truly what we're seeing in some of our schools, is a little bit of a slowing occupancy in our elementary schools. So with that, I apply those 2% in blue, the 2.3, and I actually just applied 0% growth. I don't think it really matters. I don't think we're going to keep growing at a negative 0.6% in elementary. But with that, this slide kind of shows what we did, or what I just articulated, that the 5-year retention growth is 0% and 2.3%. And what will be interesting is because our current Walden Grove SFOB project will increase our capacity. So next year will look a lot different. This is a picture of basically what that looks like projected out to FY34. The red box shows what the last report last year, when I said we would get an elementary school approved, that's after FY34. And obviously with 0% growth, it dictated we would still stay the same after FY34. And for high school 9th through 12th grade, again, the prediction was true, that in FY27, and it still shows that we should be getting the building that we're getting, which was great. What will be interesting on this slide, it basically just reminds us that with our new bond project that we're going to talk about, the GMP for today, at least number one, that we will be increasing our capacity, obviously, at the elementary level, because we'll be adding square footage at Wrightson Ridge in the name of a 6-plex and a special education classroom. So that will definitely increase and probably put our projections further out, because we now have more space. And also, with the high school addition, we'll be able to, we must show that we can, actually the square footage will show that we can hold 313 more students. So once that gets put into our formula, our high school capacity of 2469 will actually increase to 2786. So my projection is, with that increased capacity, that knowing that projection and our current growth rate, that we would be eligible for another school around FY32. And again, that changes every year just on what had happened in the new year. And that shows, the next slide just shows that new capacity at the high school level. I also think it's important to look at our current, and this is not part of the official report, but I always think it's important to share the information, is we always look at growth in our community and where it's happening and how fast it's happening and how many students we get out of households. This slide basically represents some historical data that I pulled to calculate how many students we get out of each household. And the analysis showed that for kindergarten, we get about 1/4 of a student per house that's built. For middle school, we get 0.12, and for high school, we get 0.17. The majority of growth happening in our school district right now is just south of Wrightson Ridge. You guys have seen this slide before with all of the building going on south of Wrightson. Most of those houses are getting built out, and Wrightson Ridge has been able to accommodate that. But I think what's interesting as you drive down the freeway, you just see south of El Toro Road now, and the next slide is more homes being built. And with that ratio of how many students we get per household, we should probably be seeing about 528 students coming out of that neighborhood just south of El Toro. What that tells me is we probably need to start looking at boundaries, because as we did boundaries, that's just all encompassed in Wrightson Ridge right now. There's no way Wrightson Ridge would be able to handle another 536 students. So soon we'll have to look at boundaries of just that area, which is a blank area. And a lot of times parents ask me, I don't get the school boundaries because I drive right by Anza to come to school and I have to come to the main campus. Well, the fact is, especially in Rancho Sahuarita, if everyone went to the school that was closest to them, everybody would go to Anza. And the fact that Anza can't hold all the kids out of Rancho Sahuarita, so that's why it makes sense that some kids drive right by Anza to come to the main campus. And I'm probably predicting, and of course we'll go through the process, include the community, but again, you want kids to go to their neighborhood school, so probably those houses closest to Wrightson Ridge will continue to go to Wrightson Ridge, and most likely, again, going through the process, my prediction is probably all those houses being built south of El Toro Road will probably need to come to the main campus as well, which doesn't make sense because I'm driving right by Wrightson and it's my closest school. Well, we didn't build a school that holds 2,000 kids. So, but we'll go through that process and listen to the community and what they feel is appropriate, put some principals on the committee and other team members. And the last slide, which is open enrollment. We've decreased by 7 students on open enrollment, but I don't think that's a negative trend. And I'll tell you, if you look at it per district, we actually had 5 more students from TUSD. We had 9 more students from Sunnyside, 5 more students attending our schools from Vail. Really, the discrepancy or the negative or less students coming is from Continental School District. And I don't think that is, and this is just my own prediction, I don't think that's students saying, oh, I don't want to go to SUSD when I leave Continental. I really think that's the change in a larger 12th grade class leaving and a smaller 8th grade class coming into 9th grade into our schools. That really shows that difference. I really don't think it was, again, 15 students less just decided not to come to our school. Again, the difference probably between 12th graders leaving and 9th graders coming in. So with that, I can answer any questions that you may have, and the school board needs to approve the content because we have to sign an affidavit that shows that that you guys have seen the information and agree with it.
Scott, I have a quick question for
Yes.
you. I'm just curious. I know that, and we've worked together to support the building of many buildings around here over the years. And that number that you used, that formulary about how many kids are coming out of every house, given the myriad of different variables that are at play, have you noticed a change in that number?
No, and it might change just, again, maybe based on the age and demographics of our community, because we're seeing right now a little slower influx of elementary school kids versus high school kids. But when I did this ratio completely independent of not knowing what other districts use, when I did compare my numbers when I finally calculated it, a lot of school districts have the same numbers. So I think it's a pretty strong indicator of what actually happens. But I do predict that maybe within the K-5, within our community, it might be a demographic shift that we might be seeing, less elementary school kids coming into, the homes that are being built here.
Thank you.
Yep. Very good question, and I asked our data management team that gives me all the open enrollment numbers, and we don't know, and it's very hard to track because once they leave, sometimes we don't know where they leave to, so, we can calculate how many students have left, but we don't know where they go. And it would be interesting and I think valid information if we could get it to figure out how many of they're leaving, what age group they're leaving, and more importantly, where they're going and why. It's an excellent question.
At this point, I would recommend approval of the SFOB capital report as presented.
Thank you very much. We have a recommendation.
So moved.
Thank you. Motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Caught me in a train of thought. We'll move on to item number C. Dr. Valenzuela, Wrightson Ridge.
Wrightson Ridge GMP. When I look at the deployment of our bond projects,
yeah.
one of the things that resonates and is at the forefront of my mind is the idea that we must honor the trust of the public. They have trusted us with these initiatives, and as I also say often, promises made, promises kept. We must keep our promises. And so in that spirit, this evening, I'm going to ask shortly for Mr. Downs to talk about the contents of what's noted in the agenda as GMP, or Guaranteed Maximum Price number 1, Amendment number 7. This is the next major step in honoring that promise, and that is the expansion of needed educational space at Wrightson Ridge School. And this is what Scott refers to as the long lead item. So they got to do surveying, they've got to do site work, they've got to order things that take a long time to come in. Scott's going to tell you about it. I'm just going to fast forward to the bottom line, ask him to give you the details, and then I'll recommend your approval. Yeah, this first GMP is for $1,790,220, and I would also like to thank Mr. Ryan Knapp from Core Construction, who's here, and if you have some really hard questions, you can ask Ryan. Scott, you want to go ahead and take it from here, sir?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Valenzuela, and I did want to thank Brian for being here as well. When we have governing board meetings, they always ask if they can come, and I said absolutely. I think they find it important enough in our relationship to always be present, and one of the reasons we like Core, because it's just not a business relationship, it's truly a partnership, and I always appreciate the fact that they want to come here and be here for tonight. So with the bond, the overall project budget is $5.3 million. That includes construction budget and management of that, architectural services, permits, any other things that we need to get. So with the overall budget of $5.3 million, this is the first for $1.7 million. As Dr. V had already articulated, it's a lot of things that we need to do to get the project started, as long as long lead items. There's a lot of site utility works and things that we need to do, because if approved tonight, and the reason that we wanted to come tonight on September 11th is we're going to start construction in about a month. It's going to start over the October break is when we're going to start mobilizing, and you'll start seeing action there. And I always ask Swayman Associates, can you give us a big sign that says promises made, promises kept? And I always think that's good communication, because really it's the community that has approved this project. So there's kind of the detailed itemized list of what is in the $1.7 million. But I asked Dr. Valenzuela if I could just quickly, so you know what it looks like very quickly in the very basic drawings, because it's a very simple project, this is a map of the school right now, and this is where we're basically building a sixplex and a special education room. So over here on the right-hand side of the screen, just west of the basketball courts, is where the new sixplex will be. It's basically grass and a dirt area now. It was left open in the original plan for future growth. We were going to maybe plan something there before and realized that we weren't going to do it. So that's where the sixplex will be. And then you can kind of, I apologize about the colors, but just north of the gym, where the sensory garden is now, if you know where that is, we're going to relocate that. And that's where the new special education room is going to be built. The reason that we're building a special education room is actually when we designed Wrightson Ridge, ER, a program only existed on the main campus. And now that it is at every site, Wrightson Ridge has a lot of difficulty with the lack of space and dealing with our beautiful kids, that we needed that extra space. So the sixplex is for growth. And the special education room is really housed to do the ER program. And these are both of those buildings just kind of up close, so you kind of know what's inside. Again, it'll have the same architecture. It'll look exactly the same, but the sixplex is here on the lower right. We have an art room, so the existing art room will be, we can turn it into a normal classroom, but this has the ability actually to have a kiln inside of it. The lower right-hand corner, which will be on the southeast side, will be Sarah Mora's room. As you know, she does about 6 to 8 different types of disciplines, introducing kids to CED programs. So we built her room specific with a lot of storage. Even though we call it storage, she might be doing some of her videography in there. Throughout this whole design process, Mrs. Lazardi was with us, several teachers were with us, our architect team, and so there was a lot of input into this from Wrightson Ridge themselves. And on the west side, there are some bathrooms, boys and girls, and unisex and or adult. And then in the upper left is the ER addition, which basically has a large room that they can put in swings and things that they do, and then some extended resource spaces, offices to work with kids one-on-one when they need to. And so with that, that's kind of just the quick scenario of what we're doing and where, and the first cost of 1.7, again with a total project budget of 5.3.
Yet another sign of progress. And with that, I do recommend approval of Wrights and Ridge GMP number 1, Amendment 7 as presented for $1,790,220 is the GMP.
Thank you very much. We have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'm just glad we're finally building the rest of the plan from the original plan that we had to cut for budgetary reasons during a period of pretty rapid growth in cost too. So just grateful that we're getting it done and kind of completing that school site.
Thank you for being here too. Yeah, appreciate it. All right.
Yep, and with all the work
Okay.
that CORE does in pairing, because our next project is going to be the 2-room addition to ECC. So every time they bid it, they ensure that their subcontractors are hungry for work, knowing more's coming. And so kind of with the collective project of all of our things, we have a lot of savings with that as well, so.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item number D, Dr. Valenzuela, District Office, GMP number 1.
This is an interesting item historically and just kind of in context. First of all, I'm going to start with the end in mind. This is not coming out of bond. Mr. Bruno, you might be able to concur some of what I'm saying here. So when I first came to Sahuarita in 2005, the current district office had just opened like a year before. And it didn't take too long. I was still the assistant superintendent in about 2008 when it was really clear that we were outgrowing the space. But as is customary, there wasn't a plentiful amount of new money to add on to the facility. So my predecessor, Dr. J. St. John, negotiated a deal with Mr. Bob Sharp, God rest his soul, the developer of this community. And basically they traded. They did an allowable value, equal value trade. And so it kind of an interesting tidbit. A lot of the commercial businesses that are on that street, Panda Express, Arby's, a lot of the retail, the banner and all that, that was part of that trade. And in exchange, we got the second half of the district office. I guess that would be the west half. And so again, being a little short on money, all of the office space for all of our frontline team members that are delivering a lot of the essential services that we need to function, we were fortunate enough to be the recipients of a donation. I think they came from KB Homes, Dr. Sparks, because I know that's a little bit of your professional history as well. And so we got these donated cubicles. They weren't like designed to be there or anything. So we cobbled them together and they've lasted us for 17 years. And so now that literally some of them are sitting together like cards is how they hold each other up. And Lizette, through her resourceful planning, has been able to find other resources, not bond, to not only provide new modern cubicle spaces, but also do it in a way that is much more efficient of the space and is going to produce about 5 or 10 new workspaces, right? About 7 new spaces. And while we're at it, given the carefulness with how we plan this, we're going to have the ability to refloor, to provide new flooring, new tile and new carpet. So that's what this is. And it's for $161,505. The project is being managed by Core Construction. It's going to be done in phases. As we know, remodeling is always a little disruptive, but we're going to minimize that disruption. It's basically going to be done half and half during the fall break and during the wintertime break. So at this time, with that explanation, thank you for allowing me to share. I would recommend approval of District Office GMP number 1, amendment number 8. And if there's any questions about that one, we'd be glad to answer those as well.
Thank you very much. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Say that the administration building has actually not cost the district much in cash value. Originally, Pennzoil and Duval owned Animex Park, and when they sold, they gifted Animex Park to the district.
That's right.
And when the town wanted to take over the park and provide other park services, a deal was struck, and again, for same value, the town of Sahuarita built the first phase for us in exchange for Animex Park, which, quite frankly, we were taking a lot out of our M&O budget to support Animex Park, so it was a bigger cost saving in the long run. So that particular building has actually provided 20 years or more of cost savings. So I think this is a great investment.
Sounds like a win-win on multiple fronts, sir.
Any further discussion? I think we value, of course, all of our employees, and it's important to provide a good working environment when we can, because they provide such good service to support service, and so it's really nice that we're able to do it. So thank you very much, Lizette. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Move on to item number E, policy revision. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Lowe, members of the board. You may recall this item from the last meeting. It literally is a one-word change in an existing policy, and it's really to just create additional clarity and understanding if there was ever a doubt that, you know, we have a palette of colors in our dress code for shirts and things. I know there's blue and navy blue and maybe tan and white and maybe red. There's a palette of colors, but this just clarifies that whatever color you choose to wear, it's solid. You can't combine all of these like in plaid or something like that. So it was just to communicate a little clarity. We did put it on table last time for consideration. There was no feedback that was received. And at this point, I would ask for your approval of policy revision JICA-RC as presented.
We have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item number up, Dr. Valenzuela, policy adoption, FEDB.
FEDB, say that real quick 3 times, right? This is one that was actually brought to my attention from Assistant Superintendent Downs, and I think he'd had a conversation with Gary Ehrman, one of our attorneys. And we, and a lot of school districts, have the ability and also the professional skill and capabilities through their engineering and architectural partners to basically permit their own projects. And so this policy allows us to use our own, what they call design professionals, to actually permit our own projects. And it's what we do, and it's what we've been doing. We just need to formalize it through the passage of this policy. Again, this one I believe is on its second read, so I would ask for your approval of this policy adoption as presented.
Dr. Valenzuela, are we doing FEDB and FEDBE together?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification. The AE is actually the form, the exhibit that you use to send to the town to say that we're going to be doing this ourselves.
I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think this had a relatively lengthy discussion at the recent law conference with an attorney about the concept of small policy manuals versus large policy manuals, and he was very passionate about having a very small one, like they're too big. But this reminds us that the reason that school district policy manuals end up being relatively lengthy over time is that we are a zoning entity. There's lots of things that have to be covered. And so I think the concept of having a policy manual that's accurate and encompasses everything that it should encompass is important. So this is a new policy that needed to be here and recognized to codify something that we want to be done in perpetuity and should be done, because it's the right thing to do, is to save all those plans and structures. But anyway, it was interesting to have that conversation about the value of a really streamlined policy manual, which quite frankly kind of scares me. Haven't been around long enough to watch policy be utilized, and kind of robust, kind of well thought out. I think it's always a good thing to make sure we need all of the policies and they're clean and accurate. But anyway, that's my comment about adding, as we're going to talk about a few more here in a minute.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, and I
Further
just want to jump in and say too, to our community, if you're ever overwhelmed when you go in and you start trying to find what it is that you're looking for in terms of what we have policy for, please note that these policies, for the vast majority of them, are actually in direct alignment with the Arizona Revised Statutes. This isn't something that the board as a whole over the years has sat and tried to come up with on themselves and things like that. These are vetted through policy services. They're vetted through attorneys that practice school law in the state of Arizona. They're vetted through attorneys that practice other types of law in the state of Arizona. And so the vast majority of our policy manual is really reflective of what our responsibilities as a school district are in relation to the Arizona Revised Statutes. So that's something to keep in mind. And if, again, I would be horrified by a truly streamlined, bare bones type policy manual, because the Arizona Revised Statutes are not bare bones and streamlined and things like that. So just FYI for our community, this really is to make sure that we are in compliance with Arizona Revised Statutes.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item number G. Dr. Valenzuela, Policy Advisory is volume 36.
Yes,
For you.
ma'am. Thank you, President Lowe. And thank you, Dr. Sparks, and thank you, Ms. Reese, for your very thoughtful commentaries. I think points very well taken. And I think the moral of the story from part of what you're saying is that if we want smaller policy manuals, and a lot of them come from legislation, that it's our elected legislators that pass the laws that we then adapt in our policy manuals. So thank you again for those comments. And speaking of which, these are policy advisories that come to us from the Arizona School Boards Association. I'm just going to note that these are some of the more recent ones that have come in, I think, well into 2024. And I say that because these are policies that almost without exception, I believe, are direct outputs of laws that were passed by the most recent session of the Arizona legislature. So all we're doing, and all ASBA is doing in terms of their policy service, is adapting and amending our policies to make sure that they are compliant with the latest laws. And for example, these advisories here, 792 to 800, they involve things like there was a law passed that allowed school districts to train designated staff to stock and use, is it glucagon? It's like the diabetes medic. Yes. Mm-hmm. And another one, there was a law passed that says, board members cannot be registered sex offenders. There was one that says candidates who are applying for work have to disclose past convictions. Another one, there was a law passed that requires, and Brett's aware of this, certain instruction, a certain number of hours of instruction about the Holocaust. And that was passed by the legislature. There was an open enrollment edition, such as one that required the ability to give priority consideration in open enrollment to dependents and members of the military, for example. some modifications to the chronic healthcare form. And as a licensed provider, this probably means something to you, Dr. Sparks. They changed the word, they added the word licensed as opposed to certified. And so those are little details that, again, and I'm grateful that whether it's voluminous or less voluminous, I'm grateful that for our policies to be reflective and accurate, that we do have the services of the Arizona School Board Association to always be zoning in and looking and providing us with these advisories. So in line with our practice, and I believe sound and best practice, at this time I do recommend tabling of policy advisory 792 to 800 as presented.
The recommendation, do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And we'll move on to the consent agenda, Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. We have a rather voluminous
Yes.
consent agenda, and I think it aligns with the timing of the year. Those things do tend to kind of follow certain patterns. So you have a consent agenda that may be considered in one comprehensive motion, and I do recommend approval of the consent agenda in its entirety at this time.
Thank you very much. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? I'm always very grateful for the donors on who continue to donate gifts and money to our schools, and it is noted and appreciated to everybody on that list. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We will move on to any possible future agenda considerations from the board tonight. Then we will move on to establish the next board meeting, October 2nd, here in the district auditorium. Details can be found on our website. And we have no executive session, so I just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Any discussion? That's my favorite question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.